Good morning, everyone. This is Father Kyle Tietz. These next couple weeks on the weekends, we'll be entering into the Bread of Life discourse, where we take a step aside from the Gospel of Mark and go to the Gospel of John to talk about John chapter 6, where Jesus feeds the 5,000 and talks about how he is the bread of life. And we'll talk a lot. We'll focus on the Eucharist. So today in the first reading, we have a little bit of a play into that. The Israelites have just left Egypt. They've just been delivered by God's strong hand, been able to cross the Red Sea, saved from the chariots and the charioteers. But now they begin to complain. They say, didn't we have it good back in Egypt where at least we had food? We had the flesh pots to eat from. We had bread back there. Let us go back to Egypt so we could eat and die. That would be better than dying out here in the desert. And Moses and the Lord respond to the people, and the Lord sends down manna from heaven, and he gives quail for food in the evenings as well. But there's kind of a contrast between the food of Egypt, the food of the past, and the food that God gives. So in the past, in the life of sin and slavery, the food was all there, but it wasn't satisfying or nourishing. They could feast on the flesh pots, whatever the flesh pots were, it doesn't sound very good. But just like sin, it gives some sort of satisfying, perhaps initially, but ultimately it leads to death. It does not fill us. It does not fill our deep desires. So the ways of the past might be tempting to turn back to, but God says, no, I have definitively led you away from that. So trust in me and I will give you a new way of being fed. And this new way takes trust because the Israelites will only receive enough manna and quail for a day. They must gather it each day and trust in the Lord that it'll be there. That's a lot different than seeing something right in front of you. Perhaps sin, we can see what might be potentially satisfying right in front of us. But God says, no, you left that life behind. Come live in the Christian life, a life of trust. And just as the Israelites trusted in God to give them daily their food in the form of manna and the quail, so we trust God to give us his body and blood, his Eucharist each day, and his word, his holy word that we receive in the scriptures proclaimed to us. So God continues to feed us. And in the Lord's Prayer we say, give us this day our daily bread, a prayer of trust. We know that being fed by God gives us true life, but it is challenging at times too, because we cannot sometimes see ahead of the day. We cannot see where God is taking us. We may not see how a situation is going to be resolved, how our family members might be reconciled, how an injury or illness might be healed. But we trust God that each day he will provide for us, and he's led us definitively away from sin and death, and leads us into newness of life. May God bless you. Goodbye.